Hi, I'm Allison Crouch, and we're going to play with getting up and down off the floor today. So you can just start by getting up and down off the floor in whatever ways make sense to you, paying attention to what your body wants to do naturally. We live in a society that has a lot of furniture, and we do a lot of sitting, and we don't tend to do it coming all the way down onto the floor. And so we sometimes lose the range of motion that we need in our hips and our ankles to be able to easily get up and down off the floor. And this is a totally use it or lose it situation. So having lots of ability to get up and down off the floor in many ways is a really crucial and critical skill for long-term, stay strong and healthy for your whole life. So here, we're going to do some getting up and down off the floor. So we're going to start with the classic, this is the one that predicts your health forever. Cross one leg in front of the other and slowly, with control, so you're not letting momentum take over, come all the way down onto the floor. Take a moment and then see if you can slowly come on back up. If you are limited in how far you can go with that, that's cool. You go as far as you can. And then try going the other way. So you cross the other foot in front. This will be your non-dominant direction. Slowly coming down onto the floor, knees reaching out to the sides, external rotators working, ankles having to flex. Come all the way down, let everything chill, and then come on back up. So clearly this is my non-dominant side. Much harder for me to move here. So most people are going to find that that's more challenging on one side than the other, but I think it's really important to remember that that is not really the most important part of the getting up and down off the floor. It's not, can you always get up and down with your legs crossed? It's, how many options do you have for coming up and down off the floor? So this time, come on down, both knees onto the floor, and you want to have your toes tucked into the floor behind you, and we're just going to do a little bit of a rock. Bring your knees up off the floor and grab your half dome to put just in front of you. And slowly, with control, tap your knees down and slide them back up. And slowly tap down and come on back up. You're welcome to use your arms as part of your control for this. And you're using your stomach muscles a little bit to help you, and lots of foot mobility. So if you need to take a break for your feet, you go right ahead and do that. Couple more. And as you're moving, see if you can feel, do you have control all the way down until your knees are touching the half dome? If you feel like you're kind of collapsing into the half dome at the end range, you're going to keep your half dome there. Otherwise, scooch it out of the way and see if you can get your knees all the way down to the floor and all the way back up. And all the way down to the floor and all the way back up. Pause here, and now think about pressing your heels down towards the floor as you slowly come back up to standing. So that starts to get a little bit of movement into your hips, but another part of that challenge with coming up and down off the floor can be limited range of motion in the hip socket, like actually right in those deep lateral rotators. So press your right leg down strong into the floor, bring your left leg up, connect your heel to your wherever works for you along your leg. Keep your pelvis super still and turn your leg in the hip socket. And just keep a nice smooth turn, don't go too fast, but you're not thinking about moving your knee, even though your knee is the thing that's moving the most. You want to think about the idea that what you're really doing is spinning your leg bone, the head of your femur, in the hip socket so that you get your deep lateral rotators. For lots of us, the tendency is to move more globally, so we're looking for real precision. Find your sweet spot, and then we're going to hold here. So now you've got to work your balance, get that side butt working on your standing leg, nice and easy through your upper body. So just do a couple of little seaweed arms here, and see if you can have softness and ease and fluidity through your upper body while you have this really strong pillar of strength in your lower body. And then we'll come down and do the same thing on the other side. Strong through the leg, pressing your heel down into the floor. Bring your leg up any height, might be different than the other side. And then again, find that turn right in the center of your hip socket. You're welcome to use your hands to try and keep your pelvis super still so that you're not inadvertently twisting your whole body to move your leg. And then find your sweet spot, that part that makes you want to swear just a little bit, and then hold here. This can be super different from side to side, so if you're having a hard time finding your sweet spot on one side or the other, totally normal. Bodies are not the same from side to side. Add your little bit of balance challenge where you're moving your upper body around nice and flowy and easy, but super planted through your heel, through your feet, your foot, your standing foot, and then come on back down. So now we're going to come back down again in your cross leg, nice and slow. Find that sense of control through your hips. Pause if that's available to you, and then come all the way down. And now you're going to sit back up on top of your knees, on top of your heels. You may want to have your half dome beside you, and we're going to do a little shift, lateral shift from side to side. So slide your butt over towards the floor on your left, and then come back through center and slide your butt over to the floor on your right. If you find that as you come down, you're getting so far and then you're kind of collapsing, or your pelvis is not moving well because you're uncomfortable, give yourself a little ease. It's so much better to do a motion in a way that feels really good and successful and like you're building strength and competence, rather than in a way that makes you feel like you are uncomfortable, not in the good way, that is building you strength and expanding your boundaries. So respect your tissues. Things will change as you go through the class, or if you make this part of your home practice. So we're using your obliques here, we're using your hip muscles, we're challenging your brain maybe to move in a way that it doesn't usually, but we're also acclimating your body to different ways of sitting on the floor. One of the really great things about floor sitting is it's less comfortable than sitting on a sofa. When you sit on a sofa, you'll just hang out in it for a long time. If you sit on the floor, you're inclined to change positions more often, which is giving you more diversity of movement and moving more of you more often. So now we're going to do one of my favorite getting up and down off the floor games. So you're going to tuck your toes underneath you. You're going to bring your pelvis up, step 1 foot forward, and come all the way back up. That's not the game, that's just getting off the floor in another way. Cross your right hand over your left knee and your left hand over your right knee. This is a super glamorous activity, just so you know. It's really pretty. From this position, using whatever strategy works for you, lie down on one side. And then get yourself back up again. Stand up, come down on the other side. With control, lots of core going on here. And then stand up. Again, see if you can change your strategy. This time you're going to lie down on your back. Clearly you can't straighten your legs because you'd have to lose your hands. And then come back up. And now this is the super most glamorous part. Come down onto your front. And then shockingly come back up. So I like this one. I learned it from Perry Nicholson. It's very scalable. You could do it with one hand. You could do it with the other hand. You could do it with one hip, one shoulder, depending on how mobile you are or how much of a workout you want on any given day. So we could certainly do that as a whole sequence. So now let's find another way of getting down onto the floor with one leg. So grab your half dome, place it in front of you. And we're not going to do this as an exercise. You're just going to Pick up your half dome and put it back down. Change sides. Pick up your half dome and put it back down. Change sides again. Pick up your half dome and reach it up towards the ceiling. And come back down. Stand up, pick it up, reach it to the ceiling. Change hands, circle it around. Da-da-da-da. Go the other way. Bring it down to the floor. Stand up, change hands. If you are regularly bringing your knee forward, which is probably what most of us do, it's a more quad dominant activity, then change it up. Now you're going to have your half dome on its edge, and you're going to try and send your butt back and keep your shin reasonably vertical. Change sides. Keeping your shin reasonably upright and sending your hips back behind you. This becomes a more glute and hamstring activity, right? Usually not the way we spontaneously move. So if we're looking to wake up the bits that we don't usually use, we have to change our habits and our patterns. Come on back down. If you're super mobile and you're like a pistol squat queen or king, you might be able to actually do this with a vertical shin flat to the floor. I'm not that person, but if you can get all the way to the floor, single leg, vertical shin, half dome flat, go ahead and do it. So now you can come on back up, lose your half dome, and we're gonna see how many ways can you get up and down off the floor in about 1 minute. So we're gonna go for as many different strategies, knowing that changing sides is totally different because dominant and non-dominant sides affect not only your muscles, but also your brain. So come on down, come on back up. You maybe want to go down in a Z shape and come up that way. You can watch your neighbors and see what they're doing. But finding that sense of diversity is really important. So lots of different strategies for coming on up off the floor. We'll continue through this class using lots of different things to address the different limiting factors that help people get up and down off the floor more easily. Hip hinging, calf and ankle motion, foot mobility, and by the end of it, hopefully everybody's got a great big workout and a real sense of how useful getting up and down off the floor can be.